Welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peacock. Today's show is brought to you by Gymdesk, the easiest gym management software you'll ever use. Take payments, create marketing automations, track attendance, and much more. To try the software out free, go to gymdesk.com. No credit card or painful sales call required. Our hero today is Aaron Moore, Director of Operations at Urban Adventure Companies and an entrepreneur in the fitness industry. In this episode, he dispels myths about hiring in a post-COVID world and tells us where we can find quality fitness professionals to hire. Since the fitness industry has such poor turnover, he also reveals to us how he manages to keep those professionals working in his business. Without further ado, Aaron Moore. All right. Welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast, Aaron. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself and give your background in business and the fitness industry.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you having me today. So, Aaron Moore, Director of Operations at Vita Fitness and Urban Adventures companies. My background in the fitness industry is exactly what I'm doing right now. Before this, I was in college athletics, coaching football, and then I had an opportunity to get in with Vita just when it was starting out on the ground floor. So we've grown the concept from a pretty traditional gym as Vita Fitness with strength, cardio, and classes to 7 brands today. So in addition to Vita, we have Bang Salon, our hair salon, or a spa, our spa concept, a boutique fitness studio called Sweatbox, a rooftop pool and restaurant concept called The Penthouse, a local brew pub called Capital City Brewing Company, and we've just recently branded our Pilates program into a separate studio called Vita Pilates. So we've been at it here in the DC area for about 16 years now, 5 locations in DC, 1 in Arlington, Virginia, and a couple locations coming down the pike in Virginia in the years ahead. So about a 50,000 square foot model, and we'd like to try to accomplish as much as humanly possible within one building.
Excellent. So one of the topics that is really a pain point for gym owners right now, fitness businesses, that you've talked on before on some other podcasts, is actually finding and keeping employees, both finding and keeping employees. So is it actually harder to find employees now? Because it seems like that to a lot of people.
So I don't think it's harder. I think it's different. So let's define harder. So if your definition of harder is it's more time consuming than it used to be, I would agree with you. It's harder. But I find a lot of folks in the industry, and many industries, are defining harder as it's just not working. They don't know what to do. They're spinning their wheels, and it's not working. So I don't believe, and I haven't experienced it being harder in that way. It's just very different. So before the pandemic, we used to get everything we needed organically through our website, and whatever we didn't get through the website, we'd do a job posting on Indeed. A couple hundred resumes in an hour, and we're fat, dumb, and happy with that approach. That's very different. And every time I talk to an operator in the industry, they're like, "Yeah, I can't get talent. I'm having the hardest time." I was like, "Okay, what are you doing?" And it's some version of what they've always done. Like I've sent out an email about employee referrals. I've done job postings on every job board I can find. I've done a bunch of social media postings. I've put flyers around the club, so on and so forth. And that's a very reactive way of thinking, and it just doesn't work anymore. So we have to be proactive, more so than we ever have before. And it's such a cool opportunity right now because nobody else is doing it. Everybody's just being reactive and venting. So let me dive into that, a little bit. So if
Sure.
reactive is job postings and social media, what's a proactive way of doing it? So number one, you have to understand what are your needs and where can you find them. So, and it's recruiting. At the end of the day, recruiters have been around for hundreds of years probably. And when we don't know what to do, we find a recruiter. So we can be our own recruiters because most of us don't have the budgets for recruiters, and most recruiters don't want to touch anything under a C-suite executive. So, go to where the people are. The main sources of talent that we're finding are threefold. Number one, LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, very good for traditional management and sales positions, marketing positions, HR, IT, very traditional job roles. To an extent, personal trainers, to an extent, massage therapists and things like that. But once we get into more of the service provider lane, we're off LinkedIn and we're onto Instagram. So massage therapists, estheticians, personal trainers, hairstylists, group fitness instructors. Instagram is an awesome source of information. It does require you to be active on Instagram, posting regularly, promoting your brand and having the knowledge base of where to find other individuals as well. And number three is competitors. So everybody feels slightly different about poaching or recruiting from local competitors, but I promise you that people are doing it to you. And that's the way the game is played right now. I mean, we can even track on our website, people looking at every single personal trainer we have featured, every single massage therapist we have featured. And they're obviously trying to look at our talent and recruit from them. So it's on us to provide a higher quality, more competitive, working environment. So you have to be aware of your competitors. And my favorite approach is not to, say something to the effect of like, "Hey, Josh, you should quit your current job and come work for me. Like, come train at my gym. It's better." I'll reach out and say like, "Hey, Josh, looks like you have a nice following over there at ABC Gym. Like, hey, are you looking to pick up an extra shift or two and our extra couple clients? Like, we've got a pretty good demand over here, and we could use you a little bit." And sometimes they'll be like, "Yeah, I could pick up another, shift or two, or yeah, we could all use a few extra clients." And then you get people in, on a part-time basis, and they start comparing their current environment versus the environment that you provide. And slowly but surely, we get a lot of people that way, coming over full time.
Hmm.
I will add a little footnote on, understandably, it's a little bit more challenging to find people that require licensure. Personal trainers, lifeguards, group fitness instructors to an extent, massage therapists, hairstylists. The good side of that, personal training is not a good example, but massage therapy and salons, there's schools. And there are probably 4, 5, 6 schools in your market that would love to have you come on site, do a career fair, would love to have you come on site and do a training of sorts. And even with personal trainers and group fitness instructors, reach out to TRX, ask to host a local or regional certification program where you can get newly certified instructors very familiar with your club. Right then and there, you can reach out to Zumba and Les Mills, like, "Hey, what resources do you have to let people that are certified with your entity to let them know we have openings in our area?" So it's one at a time, team member or employee, recruitment. This whole job posting, like, yes, do job postings. Anything that you get from that, is gravy. Though it's so easy to do it, but you can't have any expectations there.
Excellent. That's a lot of really good information. So you kind of covered this, but I was wondering if you expected, if you have to practice like a hair salon or something, you have to be licensed. But with gray areas like personal training, where there's kind of an industry expectation, but you don't necessarily have to be certified, do you expect industry certifications from those types of employees before you hire them?
We do, and that's just our approach. I don't think there's a right way or necessarily a way that I would recommend, but I'll tell you what works for us. We have a very strong relationship with NASM. I think NASM is generally accepted as one of the best, if not the best, certification in the industry. So people just organically find us because they're NASM certified and they know that we're a NASM facility. We promote it on our website. We promote it on social media, and we do have a scholarship program where we purchase 20 NASM certifications per year and give them away to qualified individuals under a scholarship program. So in that regard, yes, we're taking somebody who's not certified, getting them certified, removing the financial barrier of or the expense of a certification, and then mentoring them and coaching them to be a really good personal trainer through our top personal trainers along the way. And we're converting these people in 3 to 6 months from somebody who's never done a PT session to a fully licensed NASM certified personal trainer that's ready to take on immediate clients. Members, clients have seen them around the club. They have the endorsement of the top personal trainers in our club who have full books. So they can say, hey, Josh, I'm full. I don't have the time to train you 3 times a week, but I've been training Aaron and he's awesome. He's one of our new trainers and he's going to take good care of you in that regard. So it doesn't have to be NASM. There's lots of good partners out there, but we take a very active approach in making sure that everybody knows we're a NASM facility.
Awesome. So you talked about having NASM partnership, talked about having a partnership or reaching out to people like Les Mills and these other types of established places that are producing trainers. What else can you do to maintain a consistent pipeline of employee leads?
So, you answered your own question. It's to have a pipeline. So we quite literally have a resume pipeline. So every time, let me back up a little bit. So it's very important that you recruit 24/7, 365, regardless of need. So, and that, I think the most efficient way to do that is to design a careers page on your website. So if you go to the careers page at vitafitness.com, it'll list every position that we have in the company, a few very simple questions that are really about our company culture that we ask you to answer, and then an opportunity to upload your resume. So we'll get anywhere from 5 to 10 organic resume submissions every day. And we put every single one of those resumes into an internal pipeline. So like today, I got 7 resumes alone for front desk team members. I don't have any front desk openings today, but in a week, I probably will have some. So we have 6 locations. Any hiring manager at any time can go into our various pipeline folders, search the position that they need, and be able to reach out to individuals as well. So whether you're getting these folks from a job posting, whether you're reaching out to your local community to see who might be interested in the future, a lot of times if we go to a career fair, either at a local college or university or at a technical school, we'll have everybody fill out our iPad with their information and their resume so we can populate the pipeline there. So again, recruiting based on need and current openings is a very reactive pre-pandemic practice. You have to dedicate time to recruiting talent, every single day. It's just like membership. So every day you're trying to generate new membership leads and convert those membership leads to new membership sales. If you're a people-facing business, which all of us are, why would you treat hiring any different? You need leads every day coming in for hiring, and you can do that by creating expectations with your hiring managers and making sure that their job descriptions outline the how and the why of recruiting. Or if you have the resources, you can do it through a recruiting department as a department of your HR wing, for example.
Awesome. So let's switch gears here to, let's say that we've got pipelines full. We found some people that we want to bring in and for an interview. What sort of questions should somebody be asking in an interview? What should you be looking for in a good employee?
As much transparency as possible. So we can pre-qualify, based on paper and the resume. We can ask a few questions to make sure that the resume is accurate. After the first couple minutes, we get on to what we call behavioral, interview questions. So we paint the picture of what the environment is going to look like. So let's use personal training as an example, because we've talked about that a little bit. Not just assessing their knowledge base and what they know. If they're NASM certified, we already know the answers to that question. But is your expectation that personal trainers are only going to eat what they kill, and they're going to have to, work the floor and work leads and get their own clients? If so, set that expectation at the outset of the interview, eyes wide open, and try to assess, how you're going to do that. It's like, hey, Josh, as you can see, we got lots of great equipment here. We have a need for personal trainers. Every member gets a new session. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a list of people with personal training sessions on their account, and the membership team is going to introduce you to new memberships. And then it's on you, to convert it. So, what's your approach? That would be, an interview question in that setting. You may do it a little bit differently. You may take the sales process completely off of your personal trainers and just ask them to focus on giving great sessions. So one of the things that we have here is an onboarding program for personal training, where every new member is going to get 4 1-hour personal training sessions. So if I'm talking to a personal training candidate, I'm going to say something like, hey, Josh, my primary focus is you being a master of your craft as a personal trainer. I'm going to give you every new client that you're going to get, they're going to have 4 hours with you. So the first couple of sessions, just build rapport, give them a great session. And if you deliver 4 quality 1-hour personal training sessions with these new members, they're going to want to keep training with you. Like, there's no gimmicks, like there's no promos. You don't have to do a hard close after a 30-minute complimentary session. And then we give them, the coaching and the training to be able to perform that. But I think the biggest thing people miss in interview questions is really giving the candidate a true understanding of what you expect them to do immediately, first 30, 60, 90 days in the role. And so there's this tool called a job scorecard. So a job scorecard is simply that. How are you going to be evaluating the candidate early on when they start the position? So there's a great book. It's called Scaling Up by an author named Vern Harnish. And in this book, it's probably $20 on Amazon or anywhere else. His templates of these job scorecards, and you simply, fill it out. It's like, day one, what do you want the employee to do? If it's a personal trainer, how many sessions do you expect them to sell? And say like, hey, Josh, within 30 days, I'm going to expect you to have a book of 20 clients. So you're going to have to help feed yourself. What's going to be your approach, and how are you going to work the floor to get new clients? So really trying to create that hypothetical situation and see how they might navigate it.
Excellent. So an employee wants to sell himself or herself to be hired, but there's also a sense in which you want to sell yourself as a company, right? Because they could choose to go somewhere else, especially if they have good credentials. So how do you go about making an attractive front end presentation of the company itself and building out like benefits packages that are going to be attractive to qualified workers?
Yeah, so it's just like buying a house. You have to understand the market that you're in. Is it a buyer's market right now, or is it a seller's market? Right now we are in an employee's market. We're not interviewing employees, especially personal trainers and massage therapists. They're interviewing us. They're going to have umpteen different opportunities to go work for. So we are being interviewed, not the other way around. And when we're in a employer market, we can be a little bit more choosy and picky because we have more to choose from. So, in this day and age, I think we'd all agree it's an employee's market. So the two things that we find consistently are really important. One is obvious: financial. If you're paying under market an employee's market, you're not going to get very far with that. So not everybody is money motivated, and not everybody has that as their sole motivation, but it's a pre-qualifier. If you're under market or not at a certain level, you can have the most amazing company culture in the world. It's not going to matter if people can't pay their bills or don't feel like they're compensated fairly. So you really have to evaluate the industry and other industries because the fitness industry is historically a lower paying industry, and if you live in a affluent, pricey urban area like we do in Washington D.C., you make yourself ripe for other industries to come in and take your talent, especially with traditional management, sales, HR, IT, type positions. So you have to understand the market rate, and it's something that we look at every month. Like, how is the average and the median salaries and rate of pay changing? And we know we have to stay on top of that, not only with our new hires, but with our existing hires as well. And I can't tell you the cultural value of going to an employee and be like, hey, you know what? We benchmark your position and the rate's gone up. There's more demand for your services. So, we're going to increase your salary by X. And they're just like, what? Like, it's not even my annual salary review. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
How does this work? What's the catch? We're like, the catch is we want you to stay here, type thing. So it's important to do that to the extent that you can. So, there's the financial component. The second biggest factor is, the company culture. People in this day and age typically want to work with a sense of purpose where they feel highly valued, where they have autonomy and empowerment. And like, let's be honest, none of us really want to be told what to do all the time. You know, Task me with a job, pay me for it fairly, and let me knock it out of the park for you. Like, let me do a good job for you. Be there for me when I need help. Like, anticipate my needs. Like, offer support. Practice servant-based leadership. But don't. Most people don't want to work in this top-down, tell me what to do environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the whole culture of remote work, hybrid work. Each and every operator out there is going to have to make, their own decisions on what they're comfortable with. In that regard. And then from there, it kind of trickles down. So what's the rest of the package? So health insurance, dental insurance, rising costs, those things are very important. Sometimes it doesn't matter. If you're dealing with a candidate that has a spouse that works for the government and they're covered at 100%, they're like, hey, you can have a crappy health insurance program. I don't have a need, so it doesn't matter to me. For the most part, it is important though. And then one of the final things I'll mention is 401k with a match has been interesting. Like, we believe in it, we view it as a must-have. But when we survey our employees about the importance of it, it always ranks very low. And I'm not sure, why that is. Maybe we haven't aged up enough, close enough to age 65 to really start to understand the importance of a good 401k program. So that's an example of, we don't get feedback directly from employees that's of a high degree of importance, but we believe it's a function of kind of protecting people from themselves. So like, okay, you're not going to care about it for the next 15 years because you're in your mid 20s, but I tell you what, when we sit down and talk and you're, 45, you can be like, "Ooh, man, I'm glad I have something in this account."
Absolutely. So let's say you hire somebody. You touched on this before, but I want to see if maybe there's some more you could expand on it some more. How do you approach onboarding new members once you've hired them?
So new employees.
Yeah.
Okay. So um, it sounds simple, but we believe in checklists. We are constantly evolving and collaborating on everything that we need to do, and we get pretty granular with our training manuals and our SOP documents. Every business unit, every department has a pretty in-depth standard operating procedures. The problem with those is that they're living documents, and within a couple of weeks, there's like, oh, we forgot this, or this has changed and been revised, and things like that. So we provide training and onboarding checklists to make sure that we also provide that narrative behind what's in the SOP, and we believe in doing as much role playing and live training as possible, because nobody, present company included, is going to take a 55-page department manual and really, know it and memorize it. So we position it simply as a reference guide. It's like, hey, here's all the standard operating procedures. Something's going to come up and you're not going to know the answer, but it's contained right here. And it's digital. You can search by it. Like, this is your reference guide to refer back to. Type thing. Other than that, it's a pretty immersive experience. Like, take managers, for example. We have managers drive the front desk for typically the first 1 to 2 weeks of their role. That's the best way to get live reps on our various softwares, to get to meet as many members as possible, to interact with various team members and other employees and things like that. So we call that part of the process the initial training or the onboarding. So it's the fundamental aspects of sort of the science of what you have to do.
Mm.
And then once they have a really good understanding of systems and softwares and things like that, we get into more of the progressive or strategic training where there's no right or wrong answer. So, a member walks up to you and they're, frustrated about something. So, how are you empathetic? And, how do you resolve, a situation? Type thing. So all of our employees are empowered to do whatever it takes to resolve a member issue, and you can't possibly outline every given situation in a training manual, for example. So for that, we do a lot of role play, and then we share successes with the team. So this member came up to me. He was upset about XYZ. Here's what he did, and then he posted a 5-star review on Yelp. Like, here's how we made that happen.
Awesome. Are there any pitfalls to avoid when you're onboarding a new employee?
Yeah, I mean, too much too soon. I mean, a lot of times as training managers, we have to remind ourselves that we've been here X number of years. We've had so much experience and so many live repetitions that we can't just talk at somebody and tell them how to do something and then walk away from it like they know as much as we know, so to speak. So it's really important to check in with individuals. How are you doing? And the job scorecard, for example, that I mentioned earlier. It's like constantly sitting down and be like, okay, we are progressing towards this performance goal. Josh, do you feel like I've properly supported you to achieve this goal? Is there additional training or additional repetitions you'd like in any of these things? And that's why we separate our what we call our product knowledge training, which is really that fundamental, foundational, scientific. You check in a member the same way every time and try to get that knocked out of the way first, and then move on to what we call our professional development training, which is more the art, the strategy on how you demonstrate empathy with a member, and then through the use of checklists, it's really easy to refer back and say, like, hey, this manual is 55 pages long, but this checklist is a one pager of 30 some items. So what's your comfort level in each of these things? And like with membership sales, for example, we have diagnostic. It's 93 things that you have to do week in and week out to be an expert in your role. We just like to try to assess, where are you at on each of these things? And then we build individual and team training agendas based on, those areas of opportunity. So training and onboarding, it never ends, so to speak. It's a progressive evolution, and we have a series of trainings. So we have one-on-one trainings between hiring manager and employee. We have team trainings for departments, and then once a month we have an all hands company training. That we provide, and it's either sort of back to basics SOPs. We need to really focus in on these foundational items, or it's more evolutionary, collaborative. Like, hey, we have an opportunity to evolve and do something a little bit better.
Awesome. So you have a very structured, systematic way of bringing people on board, and then you continue to have one-on-one feedback as well as regular trainings after that point to continue to, I guess, give repetitions to those most important things and review things that might get a little bit eroded in the back of your mind about SOPs and things like that. Excellent. Excellent. So turnover is, it's not a secret that turnover is really bad in the fitness industry. How do you go about keeping your trainers? You mentioned benchmarking, but how else do you go about trying to keep them working for you?
Yeah. So trainers specifically, they want to grow. They want to have financial growth. They want to grow from a 20 something that has an apartment that they like in an area that they like and enough money to go out to dinner with their friends and take a few vacations a year and things like that. And that evolves into they want to get a car that is more than a couple $1,000s. They can't pay cash for it, so they're going to have a car payment for the first time. They want to get out of the renter's market and buy a house and things like that, and then they want to start a family and all those things. So in order to achieve that, you have to have a proper avenue for financial growth. And then you have to provide an environment where somebody thinks they can do it in each new decade of their life. So, can I do this job in my 20s? Like, yeah, I have tons of time to dedicate to work. Okay, can I do this job in my 30s? Like, well, I've got some other interest in my life. It's getting a little bit of a pinch. Can I do this job in my 40s? Oh, I've got, 2, 3 kids now. Like, I can't work evenings and weekends like every, single time. So, you have to be self-aware of where are the breaking points when you have turnover. Is your turnover age-based when people need more personal time and more flexibility in their schedules for their families? Is your turnover burnout based where you can only work so hard for so long? Is your turnover for lack of growth where somebody's mastered the job and doesn't have an opportunity for growth and now they're just bored because it doesn't challenge them anymore, and things like that. So getting back to personal trainers specifically, we have a growth model that has evolved as our trainers have evolved in tenure. So when we first started out, we had 2 levels of personal trainer with a little bit of a commission bump once you reach the second level, and that was it. You're either a personal trainer or a master trainer. Once you get enough sessions and enough clients, you can get promoted to a master trainer. And then we had everybody promoted to master trainer, and they said, "What's next?" And we're like, "Okay, now we're going to create a new class called an expert trainer." And it gets another commission bump. And oh, by the way, if you reach these number of sessions, we're going to provide you with a monthly bonus structure. So you can get a little bonus on top of your commissions. And they said, "Cool." And then everybody started leveling up to expert trainer and maxing out their bonuses. We said, "Okay, like we're kind of at our commission threshold. What's important to you?" And they said, "Education, certifications." We said, "Cool. For every session that you do, you're going to get essentially the equivalent of a CEC. It's a dollar amount, and you earn those in a Vita bank of sorts, and you can redeem those dollars for education. So you want to get TRX certified, you want to get a kettlebell cert, you want to get a strength and conditioning or a CrossFit, certification. How much do you have in credit, and you can, go ahead and redeem that." And then the next time they came to us and they're like, "Hey, we're starting to have kids and families now. We need a better PTO structure, even though we're 100% commission based." And we said, "Okay, cool. Like, let's take a look at industry best practices." So we evolved our PTO structure for personal trainers. So it's a combination of providing an opportunity for growth, understanding the needs of your team. What are your competitors doing, or what are the best practices in your industry, and making it a career field where uh, people can do it, for their entire professional lives. And the top question that I get with personal trainers is like, yeah, personal trainers are not 9 to 5ers. It's like early mornings and late evenings, and sort of burning the candle at both ends. They got to come in for 5 a.m., 6 a.m. clients, bored throughout the day, and then they got to come back in at 5 p.m. Like, how does anyone accomplish that as they get older and start a family? I said, well, it's simple. If you're in that much of a demand, people will accommodate their schedules to train with you. And this was before the pandemic. After the pandemic, it's even easier because everybody's got this hybrid work schedule. And so our best personal trainers, they'll come in and they'll work mornings and evenings. And they'll start to get busy, and then they'll make a choice. And this is the choice every good personal trainer makes. Do you want to be a morning personal trainer, or do you want to be an evening personal trainer? So you keep your existing morning or evening clients. Let's say you're a morning personal trainer. So keeping your morning clients is easy. Now you got to go to your evening clients and be like, "Hey, I'm going to be out of the club at 3 p.m. Every day. I would love to continue training with you, but because I get here at 5 a.m., I can't train you at 8 p.m. I'd be happy to recommend a trainer, or if you can rework your schedule, I do have a 2 p.m. open." And 9 times out of 10, the client is like, "Give me the 2 p.m. Like, I'll figure out my work schedule. I'll take it." And other times, they need to get reassigned. So we create that opportunity with the personal trainer to have a consistent 5 consecutive day work schedule where they're training consistently throughout the day. They come in at a consistent time, they leave at a consistent time, they have their 2 days off in a row. And now it's something that they can do for a career.
Excellent. That's awesome. You don't hear that a lot. A lot of people will go into the personal training, and they'll get some clients. They'll do pretty well, and they'll do that'll be while they're young. And then as they get older, they realize I'm missing business fundamentals, or I'm not with the right place, or I can't find the right place to work to, and things aren't going to work out. So I've got to go do something else. And then they end up leaving personal training and sometimes never returning. So that's really, that's a great way to approach in a gym how you can incentivize trainers to continue to think intelligently about how they're going to structure the days, and then give them incentives to stay there and stay in the industry and invest in what they've been doing while they were younger.
Yeah, and all of them have a passion for it. I mean, and it's the, I guess you can look at too is like, how did you get your personal trainers in the first place? Like with our team, the vast majority, this is what they went to school for. They have master's degrees in exercise science. Like this is what they want to do. And that's their passion. Versus, a personal trainer, it's like, man, like I'm having trouble deciding what I want to do with my life. Like I'm active, I played sports. Like I guess I'll be a personal trainer, for a while, type thing. And there's nothing wrong with hiring those individuals, but just know that the passion is lacking, and so you have to create that passion. And so if it's not a student of exercise science, so to speak, you can say like, "Hey, Josh, like I know you're in real estate for a while. I know you did the server gig at some restaurants. You were an accountant, for a few years, and like all those jobs suck, right? And you hate bouncing around. Like this can be the destination for you, and this could be a really fun, rewarding career where you can earn a good living and also have a sense of purpose." Having said that, like any profession, continuing education is really, important, and we want to create that opportunity for you. So you're sort of creating that academic passion on the back end, but it's really critical that you don't just let people go that are sort of between jobs or trying to figure out the next step, and they can sell a little bit and they connect with people, and they're making decent money, and you never take the initiative to create that passion. So they're just ripe for the next thing that comes along in a couple of years.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been really, really good. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you or see more of what you're doing?
So there's two ways to reach out to me. You can email me at aaron@vitafitness.com, and that's like screaming into the void, and I'll have trouble getting back to you. Like most of us, too many emails. We're actually trying to figure out a way internally to get rid of email, and it's not going very well. The second way, and the best way, is just to shoot me a message on LinkedIn. That's where I talk to most folks in the industry, and be happy to have a conversation with anybody that wants to dive into any of these topics a little further.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on the show, and I hope we can do this again sometime.
All right, Josh, I appreciate you, and hopefully this was helpful.